This is Dixon logging on, and today this is more of a back to school talk. So I meant to do this a few days ago, of course, but I've been pretty busy and wrapped up. There's Tiffany in the background, say hello to her. And there's some things I want to go over about my previous 3 school episodes I did, which was the last one I did was about almost 3 or 4 years ago. I only did 3 episodes altogether. Well, the first episode I did was originally back in 2014. Well, actually, I did one episode that was back to school, and then I did another episode that was end of school. But I added both of those 2 games into one full episode for update purposes, because when I did those episodes originally, I used to be the Ultramaniac Gamer. I used to go by a gimmick name, but now I pretty much go by myself, so with a show name. So I updated that episode about 2 years later. The 2 games I did were 2 unlicensed NES games, were Sunday Funday and Menace Beach. And I was like being in character as the Ultramaniac Gamer when I did those 2 episodes separately, then later put them together under the name of Ultimate Gaming Realm as the first school episode. What I did in that episode as a character was reliving my frustrating memories, which are true about my old high school years, about the days I was held back in by picking on an awful game. Back then I said that's one of the worst games of all time, but in a way it's kinda not though. Especially when it comes to identity politics, getting involved with gaming. Today's gaming with identity politics makes the bad games from the past look like masterpieces. Perhaps I'll ratio identity politics to hell another time. Back to the current project. I was going over the top as a character. Well, usually time to time I am over the top, being kind of more like the angry video game nerd influenced by him as well. However, that's how I found out about the 2 games from in the first place. And to bear in mind, I did Sunday Funday first and I did Menace Beach last. Of course, it was the other way around when the releases of Menace Beach was released by Color Dreams in 1990, and 5 years later, Sunday Funday from Wisdom Tree. Yeah, of course, Color Dreams eventually became Wisdom Tree. I also did an unlicensed game episode on the Color Dreams to Wisdom Tree's transformation, so you may want to check that out. I was also doing another unlicensed episode, which I didn't get complete, and I was like revisiting both Menace Beach and Sunday Funday, except it's straightforward this time, not as a school episode, but it's an awful game episode in some ways, doing a little let's play. But I'm going to definitely make some changes in that though. I might involve Tiffany in the storyline too to help me out, because I may have a few ideas with her involvement. Chances are that probably might be a little saucy though, but well, I think you get the picture. And by the way, I forgot to mention, just in case if you notice, both Menace Beach and Sunday Funday are the same games. They just made some changes. The second episode I did was on a licensed NES game, Daydream Davy. Which, at first, the concept itself sounded interesting. You know, where you're playing as a school kid and you're sitting in class and sleeping and thinking about a different adventure while ignoring tests and all that. But then when you wake up, you get a reality check. Something like that. Ruler or a sword or a pencil or whatever. You go into different sceneries during those dreams, which is pretty interesting. You get to go into the West, you get to go into the medieval times. It makes me feel like you're in a Westworld dream. But the problem is the gameplay did not make any sense, and the gameplay is so cryptic, and the graphics are pretty ugly, especially on the gunslinger. When you face him, you have to blow a gun out of his hand, and he's got a dick for a nose and all that crap. I'll tell you one thing for sure. There were some neat ideas for this game. It's just that they messed it up with cryptic flaws and stuff that doesn't make sense. And it's done by the same company that did great games like Kirby's Adventures or Kirby's Dream Land or Super Smash Bros. Or Earthbound. However, they must have been really flawed when it comes to this game, or must have been daydreaming about a different project when they're making this game. That explains why they messed up on this one. What the fuck? Alright, whatever. And by the way, this game was also another episode that Angry Video Game Nerd prior to me doing this episode. And also, if you watch the episode, you notice at the beginning I was actually going into another character, like I was daydreaming into another realm or something. Yeah, and I was pretty much being gibberish throughout the intro there, trying to come up with another shitty back to school game and thinking of another depressing time or something. But that's pretty much trying to be a character again. Well, anyway, that was Daydreaming Davey. Not a good game. Not the worst. Next. Interesting in some ways, but not a good game. Now, third episode. These were more of the modern games I did. Well, kind of like retro style kind of games. Called Kindergarten. Which is definitely not kindergarten simulation at all. This is definitely a twisted kindergarten adventure. If you check that video out, you know what I mean. When I say one of the most fucked up games of all time, I'm not fucking joking with you here. Kindergarten sounds like you're actually in for a kindergarten game simulation. I'm assuming this game's for kids. I mean, the intro sounds promising, and they're showing you the menu of all the schools in the back, of all the scenes in the background, like the playground or the classrooms or the cafeteria or the gym. But it turns out it's all deceiving. It's nice music goes with it, goes with the deception of this. What type of surprise you're going to be introduced? Well, it's a shocking surprise that this game is actually more like a child killing simulation. Well, not a child killing simulation to be exact, though. I mean, there's adults abusing children or killing them, or you can kill teachers in it, so it's kind of equal opportunity, I guess. But this is definitely not a kid's game. This is actually kind of like a parody on a horror parody, kind of like. And the game, of course, you play as a kindergartner, and you have to do things every single day, which is Monday over again. Well, that's what the first game. The second game, which they did a sequel, is Tuesday and Tuesday over again. Watch the video and you'll know what I mean. Well, after all, they're just games, and it's not like any worse than reality, especially when it comes to identity politics getting involved in the school system. I think you get the drift. Well, that was the last back to school episode I did. I think that was 3 or 4 years ago. Now, my future projects for back to school or end of school. Well, I was originally going to work on one for this school year or the school month, but I decided to wait for June to do this one, since this one's end of school episode, because it actually starts out, the game takes place during the summer vacation and starts out on the last day of school. And this game is called The Adventures of Willie Beamish. That was released in 1990 or 1991. And that was the third adventure game, the point-and-click adventure game from Dynamics. The same company who did Rise of the Dragon, which I'm way more familiar with, and another one that I'm least familiar with between the three, Heart of China. A few days ago, I did a short review on The Incredible Machine, which is also done by Dynamics. And I said I was going to actually do The Adventures of Willie Beamish next, but fortunately there's a few ideas that come to mind because, one, I haven't really got much progress into Adventures of Willie Beamish as much as I got into Rise of the Dragon back in the day. And two, I need to get into Rise of the Dragon first, as well as Heart of China next, before I go into Adventures of Willie Beamish, because it would sound more fair if I do those two games first. And besides, the game actually takes place at the end of school year and the beginning of summer, so probably next June will be the best time to do that episode, so I'm definitely going to postpone the full review of Adventure of Willie Beamish around that time. Okay, and when I do the review of Adventures of Willie Beamish, I'm also going to be talking about the Sega CD version as well. Of course, you know, I was born starting out on consoles like the consoles instead of the PC, so when I got the Sega CD, I played Rise of the Dragon more since cyberpunk genre was always been my type. And however, the Adventures of Willie Beamish I didn't hear of until years later, which I found out, which I also learned from Angry Video Game Nerd from his Sega CD episode. But of course, I also already noticed that they're both originally PC games before they were released on Sega CD. However, the second point-and-click adventure game, Heart of China, didn't get a Sega CD release for some odd reason. But I'll get to that when I talk about those three games individually. However, The Adventures of Willie Beamish was pretty ambitious for its time, and it's still a fun game to play here and there. And I would say I would recommend it. But I'll get to the full review around June, so I just want to revisit the old episodes that I previously did and talk about what my future idea is for the back to school episodes. Like Willie Beamish was going to be this one for this month, but I think it's best to postpone it till June for many reasons. And there's other games out there that's school related, like Rockstar's Bully, or adult games like Leisure Suit Larry, Magnum Cum Loud, and all that. But that's pretty much all there is to the school special radio episode. Plenty others to talk about, but I'm kind of running out of time right now, so thank you all very much for watching and listening. This is Dixon of the Ultimate Gamer. I'm logging off.